So here's a little unknown esoteric spexo lore. When I first got into making any type of content whatsoever on YouTube, I was 14 years old. It was 2007, and I got a capture card that wasn't even HD for my Xbox 360, and I started uploading Call of Duty 4 gameplay videos. So that was like my first ever entrance into making any type of content online whatsoever. I was 14 years old doing commentaries on Call of Duty videos. And I actually, for the time, got pretty successful because this was like before PewDiePie. This was before like YouTube was really a main thing. I'm very old. I'm 31 years old. So this was like literally 14 plus 17 years ago. That's gross. Oh my goodness. Like I know people that are not even like 17, not like in a creepy sexual way or anything like that, but like I've met people that are under 16 in a completely platonic appropriate setting. But it's just weird that I was making YouTube videos before these people were even born. Honestly, like I used to say that if you were not born during 9/11 that your life really didn't matter, because like how how are you like alive now and you don't even remember 9/11? 9/11 is like one of my, not, I was going to say favorite memories. It's one of my most distinct and impactful memories. You know, don't get me wrong, 9/11 was bad. What the Jews did was horrible. But, all right, this is getting off topic. The point I was going to make was that while I don't want another terrorist attack to happen, if it does happen, if another catastrophe happens, I would really like to be this age now so I could not enjoy it more. All right, I'm just gonna get myself in trouble if I keep talking. So anyway, this is Call of Duty Mobile, and it sounds pretty gay. I don't like mobile games, and there's a big stigma against playing mobile games, but I learned that you could play Call of Duty Mobile with a controller on an iPad. And I've been playing it, and it is really, really fun. And I think the reason is because most people are playing on the touchscreen, and there's so many people playing it because it's a free-to-play game that if you hook up a controller and you have any type of skill in Call of Duty whatsoever, you're just going to destroy. And not only that, it's really fun. The controls work really great, and it's like has every map and weapon from all the best Call of Duties. It has a crazy progression system, whatever. It sounds like I'm like promoting it or that I'm being paid for it, but totally not. But it's super fun. I highly recommend. Like I have a PS5, I have two gaming PCs, I have a Nintendo Switch, and I have a Steam Deck. And all I've been playing lately is Call of Duty Mobile on my deceased grandfather's 7-year-old iPad. It's just mad fun. And it's cool because it's kind of nostalgic that I could just screen record and then upload it and make videos, commentary videos, and talk about whatever I want. It's kind of like I'm bringing it back to 17 years ago when I first started making content, which is nice, I guess. But yeah, so Call of Duty Mobile is really fun. And also, I guess I wanted to give a little update. If anybody's following me on Twitter and Telegram and stuff like that, you know that I was kind of like MIA for like 3 days. And I recently came back, or not really came back, but I made an announcement thing saying that I had a little health scare and that I'm taking a little bit of a break until next week before I go back on social media and stuff like that. But I didn't really give too much information besides the fact that the reason that I had to go to the hospital was because I was dehydrated. I had a nutrient deficiency, and I was severely sleep deprived. So I guess I'll give a little bit of a background. Like for the last couple of weeks, I've been having like these weird shakes because I guess I'm just not eating correctly or drinking enough water, which apparently is something you have to do in order to continue living. So I remember a couple of, like a week ago or something, I started shaking and like I felt horrible. And my friend was like, "You need to eat." And I was like, "Nah, that's Jewish propaganda. I don't need to eat," or whatever. So we went to a diner and I had a wrap and I immediately felt better. And I was like, "Oh, wow, that's crazy," right? Not to mention that I've also been sleep deprived for like the last probably 7 years because I only get about 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night, and my sleep schedule is so messed up. I go to sleep at all different times of the day or night or whatever because my work schedule is just completely sporadic. So I have not had a proper sleep schedule. My diet has been horrendous because I'm on Wegovy, so I don't even get hungry anymore. And when I do eat, unless my wife is cooking food, like I'll only eat a real meal like once a day. But if I'm at work or somewhere else, then I'm just picking stuff up. And usually what I choose to eat is just garbage nonsense that has zero nutritional value. So on top of that, I barely drink water. So all of these things I'm learning can contribute to not being very healthy. So Saturday, I'm hanging out with my daughter on the couch, and all of a sudden I start shaking again. So I'm like, okay, this is not good. And then all of a sudden I get really hot, and I tell my wife, and I'm not going to go into complete details of what happened because there was a lot of crazy stuff that happened, but like I was like my body was literally shaking, like I was like freezing, but I was like sweating. I had this crazy like pain in my chest, and it was, I had no idea what was going on. And I started like crying, but not because I was sad or anything like that. It was like I had this overwhelming sense of like anxiety, and like I was like, I don't know what's going on. Like I was hard to breathe. I was trying to catch my breath and stuff. So I say I want to go to the emergency room. So we end up getting in contact with my mom, who's been a nurse for 30 years, and she calls the ambulance. Very, 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 very silly to do. So she calls the ambulance. They come, and I explain what's happening, and I say, I don't know what's going on. Like my body is just shaking. I didn't even like connect the dots at the time that it was because I have a very unhealthy physical lifestyle, I guess. So they call the ambulance comes or whatever, and like they take my blood pressure and stuff, and like they could see that I'm shaking or whatever. So they're like, just come to the hospital. We'll have to run some tests. So I'm like super against it, but like my mom is there and she's all upset. My wife is like, we got to see what's wrong with you, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, all right, let's go to the hospital. So we go to the hospital. Now I think I'm going to the emergency room. Okay. That is what I assumed. I assumed I would be there for like 2 hours. We get to the hospital, and they take me into like this little office, and they take my blood pressure and stuff like that. And they're like, what's going on? What are your symptoms and stuff? And I explain to them, and they say, oh, do you have a history of mental illness and anxiety and blah, blah? And I'm like, no, I don't think so. And then I guess my mom must have showed them my Twitter or something, which is never good. And they said, oh, well, it says we were looking at your social media, and it seems like you're hyper religious, and it says that you're manic. You were saying that you were manic depressive. And I was like, I was being hyperbolic. The whole point of me saying that was because I'm against like psychology and stuff. Like I don't believe in secular stuff. So I wasn't saying that I'm actually manic depressive. I was joking. It's you wouldn't understand, blah, blah. So I was trying to talk myself out of it, and I just kept sounding more and more like a crazy person, I guess. And they were like, all right, well, we're going to have to admit you. And I was like, I don't think I need to be admitted. Can we just just run whatever test you have to do, and whatever you say it is, I'll get the medicine that I need and stuff. And they were like, well, based on all the symptoms you're externally showing, it could be a multitude of different things or whatever. And my wife was like, please just go spend the night or whatever. So I'm like, all right, whatever. So now I think I'm going, I think that I'm going to a regular hospital room, right? Like where my wife gave birth and all this stuff. I've been to plenty of hospital rooms. That's not where I was going. So they come in, and the nurse is like, okay, you just got to sign this stuff, right? I guess I have really good insurance because I'm white and not poor, but they give me this paper. They're like, all right, you just sign this so that you're accepting treatments and whatever. And I guess they were telling me that I had to sign over that they could go through my insurance or whatever. And I was like, okay, sure, whatever. Turns out that they tricked me into giving up my human rights, I guess. They whatever I signed made it so that I could no longer leave the hospital until the doctor said that I was healthy enough to leave. And so I didn't know this. So now, after I signed the paper, they take me to another part of the hospital, right? And I get in there and I'm like, what the heck is going on? There's people talking to themselves and stuff. And I look at it and it says psychiatric ward or something like that. So I'm like, excuse me, is this a psych ward? They're like, yeah. I was like, okay, I don't have any mental problems. I physically am shaking and I don't know what's wrong with me, right? And they were like, well, some of the symptoms you're portraying could be acute symptoms of mental, whatever they were saying. And I was like, okay, but you understand, I'm not hallucinating. I'm not hearing voices. I don't have any history of mental illness or anything like that. Like, it's purely physical. I don't know why I'm having these chest pains or anything like that. And they were like, well, we're going to run a bunch of tests and we're going to draw blood and we're going to do this stuff. But you still, this is the only place that you could be right now, just in case it is something mental or whatever. And I was like, all right, but these people are crazy and I don't want to be in this environment. So I appreciate the help, but I want to leave. And they said, no, you can't leave. I said, well, even if it's AMA, I'm against medical advice. I am going to leave. Like, I'm not staying in this place with a bunch of psychopaths. And they were like, well, if you try to leave, we'll have you arrested. So I was like, what? I was like, how did this happen? Right? Now, the long story short is that there was nothing mentally wrong with me. I literally think they were just trying to get more money from my insurance or something like that. But the bottom line was that I had a severe nutrient deficiency, coupled with sleep deprivation and coupled with dehydration. So basically I had to get an IV for liquids, and I think they gave me some type of IV that must have had some vitamins or something in there. And now I have to go to another doctor and get on this health plan, all nonsense or whatever, but it's all self-induced. I should have been focused more on my physical well-being instead of just my spiritual well-being, I guess. But it definitely was an experience having to spend a night in the psych ward. Even when I was like a full-blown junkie on drugs and stuff like that, I never went to a psych ward. All right, I literally, like, I've been to rehabs and stuff. I've been to jail, but I've never been to a psych ward. Now I'm a married father of 3, I'm 31 years old. I don't do drugs, and I'm like a radical Catholic. And because of my Twitter and so ridiculous that I got put in a psych ward against my will. And then my wife, when she found out I was a psych ward, she was like, what the heck? What is going on? She was like, I thought you were here to get treatment. I was like, they tricked me. They literally tricked me into signing myself into a psych ward. So anyway, the psych ward was crazy. There was like maybe 2 other normal people that like weren't showing any signs of actual mental illness. Everything else was literally like one flew over the cuckoo's nest. And so I just want to tell you quickly about some of the characters that I met. Firstly, there was a girl there who was like this Russian girl, and she looked pregnant. And she was the first person there that introduced herself to me. And I was on the phone with my dad, and she was listening. And every time I called somebody, she was just hovering over me, right? And she comes over to me, and she goes, you have wife? I go, yes. She goes, you have children? I said, yeah. She goes, I have children. I am pregnant with triplets. You know this? I said, oh, congratulations. She goes, I know you know the deal. They are trying to use the 15th Amendment against me to kill my children. They are trying to convince me I am not pregnant. I know that I am pregnant. I have 12 children. I said, you have 12 children? She goes, maybe double that. I went, oh, okay. She goes, I am protecting you and your wife. You need to protect me. I said, all right. She goes, I am from Georgia. My husband is from Pakistan. These triplets are not his. Right? And I was like, all right. And then literally, I watched her. She went to like every person and said the same exact story to like everybody, that she was pregnant with triplets, but the hospital is telling her that she's not pregnant. And then that they're using the 15th Amendment to try to kill her babies. And it was insane. Then there was this Asian girl who was just walking around holding like this bracelet that it looked like a kid made for her or whatever, and she was just rocking back and forth and pacing along the hallways. Then there was this black guy who was screaming at the top of his lungs saying that he has to kill demons. He was using a lot of vulgarity, but basically what he was saying, he was like, yeah. He was like, these demons are out here, and I'm going to kill them. You give me a sword, I'm going to cut that demon in half. You give me what do you say? You give me a gun, I'm going to blow that demon's head off. I'm like, holy cow. All right, so then who else? There was an anorexic girl who wouldn't stop hysterically crying and saying that the hospital's trying to poison her and that she feels things that were crawling in her skin. And I'm seeing all these crazy people. I'm like, I just need to drink more water. I'll drink as much water as you want. Please get me out of here. So then the craziest guy, right, was this super skinny guy. His name was Justin, okay? And he was screaming the N-word and calling people faggots as loud as he possibly could in every chance. Like, there was this, like, obvious gay guy that was one of the nurses, and he and this girl nurse was trying to give him medicine or something like that, and he was like, what is this, a city of faggots? You homos, listen here, you look at this homo boy, you see that girl, you need to take your dick. And he was being very vulgar, but he was basically saying that the homosexual guy needs to fornicate with the girl to get him, I don't know. But yeah, so that was crazy. Then he was screaming the N-word at the top of his lungs. And then he comes up to me and he goes, hey, are you an O'Reilly from Massachusetts? And I said, no. He said, you look like an O'Reilly from Massachusetts. I said, well, I'm Irish, right? And then he looks at my shirt and it says Christ is King on my shirt. And he goes, yeah, well, I'm Jesus Christ. I said, oh, really? He goes, yeah, if I bang my head against this wall, all of you will fucking die. Okay, that's great. Please don't do that, I guess. So he was at his mind. And then he goes, are you a real person? I said, I think so. He goes, were you hired to be here? I said, no. He goes, are you sure you're not spying on me? You're not with any government agency? I said, no, I don't want to be here at all. They literally tricked me to get here, to force me to get here. So there was some other characters as well, but those were like the main ones that were really, really crazy. And so yeah, that was my experience at a psych ward. So I would rather just eat food and take vitamins and not end up back there again. But it really is bizarre that I didn't even do anything like that would like even determine or whatever. The reason that they said that they needed to put me in that place first before they ran all these tests and stuff was because of the shaking and the anxiety symptoms. They said that was acute symptoms of bipolar disorder, which I am definitely not bipolar, like, at all. And don't get me wrong, I'm very hyperactive and I probably have some type of thing, but I think all that psychological nonsense is Jewish propaganda. But basically, like I said, I just need to take better care of my health. And quickly before I end this, I was talking to my mom, who's a nurse, and she didn't even know this, about like why psych wards are like so crazy now, and they put like some normal people with the craziest people, and there's no designated mental institutions anymore. So in the 1980s or 70s, I believe, Geraldo Rivera, who's this news guy, you've probably seen him on Fox News and stuff, he did an expose on a Staten Island mental institution called Willowbrook. And he exposed that they were treating these mentally ill, retarded people really badly. Like, they were not changing them and cleaning them. They were just in their own feces and stuff. Really, really bad stuff. So what he ended up doing is he made this big expose, and it became like a nationwide thing. And apparently, I don't know all the details, but that ended up leading to basically the nationwide shutdown of all mental institutions in America. And as a result of that created all the homeless people that are crazy now, that created the mental illness epidemic that we have. It just it basically it was the dumbest thing, one of the dumbest things that like the American Health Organization has or Association has ever done. Now they could have just introduced reform and monitored how patients were being treated and stuff, but of course, just like when the Jews did 9/11 and they made the TSA after that, that would have required more government resources and stuff to to create a new agency or new government agencies that could monitor and make sure that there was new standards and stuff. But of course, they would rather use government funding for like Israel and murdering Palestinian children and stuff like that. So instead of actually creating these new agencies and introducing some type of reform, what they did was they just shut everything down. They just completely shut everything down. And now there's just crazy people in the cities, and the psych wards are filled with nutcases along with normal people. So it's pretty insane that where these like mental institutions where it was like legit people that had a history of craziness and like they didn't understand reality and stuff like that, they were basically kept away from, civil society. Now the psych wards are part of hospitals, and it's not just for schizophrenics and people that were hearing voices and stuff. Oh, I got to tell about the other kid that was just talking to himself the whole time. That was really crazy. So I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that thanks Geraldo Rivera for introducing the world to how they were treating that. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. Oh, so the kid that was talking to himself, he had dissociative order. So I'm sitting on this chair and he's just staring out the window, and he's going, yeah, Clerks is my favorite movie, but nobody likes the main character. Exactly. I'm like the main character. You are. I know. And I'm like, what? He's just literally staring out the window, having a full-blown conversation with himself, answering himself every other sentence. So I ask him, I'm like, are you actually hearing voices in your head? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, and like, you don't control those voices? Like, you're actually like talking, like they talk to you without you controlling them and stuff like that? He's like, yeah. I'm like, so how long has that been going on? He goes, they showed up about 4 years ago. I was like, wow. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, at least, you're in a place that like you're safe or whatever. I saw that your mom came and visited you. That was very, at least you have people that care about you. At least you're not homeless and stuff. And he's like, that's true. Exactly. And I'm like, yeah. So, you gotta look on the bright side. And then he goes, well, if you're just going to what did he say? He said, well, if you're just going to leave me here in the dark while I'm talking, I'm not even going to talk to you. Exactly. And I was like, are you talking to me? And he goes, oh no, sorry. I'm crazy. It's like, all right, bro, no problem. So, that was my experience of getting tricked into signing myself into a psych ward, only to find out that I was severely dehydrated, nutrient deficient, and sleep deprived. So I guess I'm taking a break now from social media just for like a week or so, because I got to get like a better sleep schedule. I got to make sure that I'm eating food. I just got to make sure that I'm not distracted from too much right now, and make sure that like I get my health safe or whatever. I have to go to another checkup doctor on Monday, I believe, and they're gonna take my blood again. They're gonna check my levels and stuff like that, make sure that I'm eating and that I have the proper nutrients or whatever it is. But basically I almost died because I just wasn't taking care of my physical body, which is not good, not very Catholic. I have all this Catholic stuff in my brain. I promote Catholicism to everybody, but I wasn't properly monitoring my own health, which is not good, so that is something I got to focus on, because you can't be spiritually healthy without really being physically healthy, and it goes hand in hand. So I'll be back, and I'll start posting again probably next Friday or something, but wanted to give everybody an update on what exactly was going on. So yeah, that was a fun experience that I never want to do again. So yeah, God bless, Christ is King. The Jews did 9/11. Nick Fuentes is going to be dictator one day, blah, blah, blah. All right, love you, bye.
Contested. UAV online. Friendly hunter-killer drone deployed.
down. Target in sight.
Hard point identified. Capture the objective.
Tango down!
Hard point lost.
Enemy contact!
Killer drone on standby. Hard point is ours.
Contact with enemy.
Hunter killer drone deployed.
Target's in sight! Target's in sight. Contact with enemy. Enemy down.
Stealth chopper on standby.
Enemy in sight. Target down.
Hard point identified. Capture the objective.
Reloading.
Hard point locked down. Friendly stealth chopper inbound. UAV online.
Target's in sight!
Hard point contested. Hostiles have captured the hard point.
Enemy down. Target's in sight.
Hard point is ours.
Enemy down!
Stealth chopper awaiting orders.
Enemy down!
Objective almost complete. Keep it up. Friendly hunter killer drone deployed.
Target down!
Hard point contested. Hard point contested.
Enemy in sight!
Hard point identified. Capture the objective.
Enemy contact!
Recon ready for deployment.
Changing mag.
Hard point
Government.
contested. Hard point locked down. UAV online. Hunter killer drone on standby.